Hello, fellow bibliophiles, and welcome back to Blatantly Bookish. I am Marissa, and today I would like to chat about a nonfiction book that I read and loved in the month of December, and that is Meg, Jo, Beth, Amy, The Story of Little Women and Why It Still Matters by Anne Boyd Rue. There is an entire subset of nonfiction that consists of books about books, and they are some of my favorite ones to read. Hearing someone dissect and discuss one of your favorite books of all time with a sense of love and passion for the same piece of literature you adore is the next best thing to rereading the book yourself. In fact, sometimes it can be even better than rereading that book because you feel a sense of kinship with the author and a larger community of readers who love the book as much as you do. This book is all about one of my favorite books of all time, Little Women, and its cultural influence and legacy. It discusses a bit of background on Louisa May Alcott and debates to what extent Little Women was inspired by or is a reflection of her own life. It describes the early reception and success of the book. Little Women was originally published in 2 parts. Interestingly enough, pressure from the readership and the publishers actually influenced the ending of the second half of the book greatly. Even though Louisa succumbed to pressures from her audience and publisher with some major plot points, knowing her original intention for her characters makes me appreciate and love Louisa May Alcott even more. And sorry, I'm purposely being vague here so as to not spoil the ending of Little Women. Though I actually just finished reading the sequel of Little Women called Little Men, and I'm not sure how I'll even discuss what that book is about in my January wrap-up without spoiling Little Women, but I'll worry about that later. The book goes on to discuss the legacy of Little Women and how it has influenced countless other works, like Anne of Green Gables, and more modern characters like Harriet the Spy and Hermione Granger. She talks about Little Women as the archetype for the trope of 3 or 4 close sisters or friends as a premise in media. Just off the top of my head, both Sex and the City and The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants play off this theme. The book also discusses all of the various adaptations of Little Women and how they interpret the source material and remain relevant to the time period in which they were written. There have been tons of screen and stage adaptations, including an opera and musical of Little Women. This book was published in 2018, so it doesn't discuss all the most recent adaptations, but I haven't really seen them anyway, even though I definitely want to. But Little Women has generally appealed and adapted to different time periods very well. It's a story of growing up, of the home front during wartime, of domesticity, and so much more, so there's always an angle for an adaptation to take and adjust to its own time period. In today's society, Little Women provides a medium to discuss feminism and gender equality. I personally loved the author's thoughts on the complex questions, is Little Women feminist? And is Jo a feminist character? This book explores how Little Women used to be a book beloved by all children, but has over the years become marginalized and stigmatized as a girl's book. For the most part, it's no longer on the curriculum in schools and is often deprived of serious literary discussion. And this is so true. I never read Little Women in school, not even in college, when it actually would have fit perfectly into the curriculum. I took an entire course on American Transcendentalism in my senior year of college. We read Moby Dick and Nathaniel Hawthorne's Blithedale Romance. We read Emerson and Poe, Thoreau and Whitman, basically all contemporaries of Louisa May Alcott. And Louisa May Alcott actually wrote a book called Transcendental Wild Oats, all about her family's involvement with the transcendentalist community called Fruitlands. So why on earth did we not read any Louisa May Alcott in that class about transcendentalism? Anyway, Anne Boyd Rue uses the end of the book to discuss sexism in the American education system and makes a case for why boys and men should read Little Women too. I just want to leave you with one quote from this book. The author states that Little Women is perhaps the one fictional world where young women, complete unto themselves, are watched with envy by a lonely boy. Girls are for once at the center, and boys and men are at the margins. This quote invokes one of my favorite thoughts from this book, which is the interpretation of the male reader of Little Women as the character of Laurie. Laurie, or Teddy as he is called, is a bad-tempered and bored young boy until he meets his neighbors, the March sisters. He's the quintessential boy next door to them in many ways, and he seems to have it all. His grandfather is rich and gives Laurie every opportunity in life. But Laurie is profoundly lonely and jealous of the close-knit family, love, and adventures that the March sisters share. He's an observer in the March sisters' lives, but over time becomes like a brother to them. Male readers identifying with the character of Laurie is absolutely brilliant and makes the best argument for why boys and men should both read Little Women. Like Laurie, they may at first feel like outsiders, but over the course of the book, I think the March sisters will develop a hold on their hearts and impact their lives for the best, which is absolutely what the March sisters do for Laurie and really for readers of all genders. So yes, I absolutely loved reading this book, and I highly recommend it for those of you who love Little Women or books about books or just very accessible literary criticism. I just want to quickly mention the project that Kate Howe and Megan Hannett are doing called A Year of Louisa May. They were rereading Little Women in December, and I didn't feel like rereading the book at the time, but I did want to tangentially participate by picking up this one. Of course, it made me want to reread Little Women even more, but that's a different story. Kate and Megan started this project in November where they're hosting read-alongs of some of Louisa May Alcott's works, and they've been posting wonderful Louisa May Alcott and Little Women related videos, so you should definitely check out their channels and their recent videos if this appealed to you. So I would love to know, are you a fan of Little Women? Have you read this book yet? And what do you think about gender and Little Women? Is Jo a feminist character? I'd love to know all of your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, I look forward to seeing you all in another video soon. Bye!